That was You Are My Sunshine by Lucas Dicus, aka The Bass Is Loaded. Hello, everyone. Welcome to One Bit Wonders. Today with us is Nico. Nico, hi, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm fine. I'm doing great. And you?
Really good also. Uh, we are discussing the Arduboy project and its multiple variants, the open source aspect of it, and so much more. Later on, we'll also talk about UX, the UXM project, and Noodle, a program designed for the UXM platform, which is for 1-bit drawings and animations. So let's start with our 1-bit gizmo of the day, which is Arduboy. So, any initial thoughts on it from what you've seen so far?
I think I've seen the project a long time ago. I don't know where it came out, but I've seen it quite a while ago, and I've never bought one, unfortunately, but it just looks so cool. I mean, I love Game Boys like a lot of people, and it just looks so fun. And the last version got tons of game on it. It's looked like a really cool project.
Yeah, it does. And here's the thing about buying one. Right now, it's kind of hard. Like it gets sold out kind of quickly. I think they have a very small production of them. The next batch of the Arduboy FX, which is the most recent one, is apparently well, you cannot order it right now, but
Yeah, it's completely
apparently-
out. It's completely out of stock on their website.
Yeah, so to kind of go around it, I actually asked the developers if they could send me a review unit to check out on this channel. So we tell people what to expect from it when it becomes available again. But I haven't gotten any answer from them so far. So yeah, I'm also waiting for it.
And
And
that's quite unfortunate. I would have loved to just have someone who've got it to talk about it. It would have been so good.
yeah, so we cannot give first-hand impressions on the device right now, but we can tell you about it. It's a tiny, tiny handheld. Um, it's also super slim, uh, and it comes with over 200 games inside the Arduboy FX that have been developed by the community throughout the years. Like it's been um, around for a while, the original Arduboy. So the community has had plenty of time to develop games for it. And actually, some of them are getting even ported to the Switch. Like there's one called Circuit Dude that has a Switch version. So yeah, many developers actually started developing games for these super basic platforms and are now pushing their games on more complex ones like say Nintendo Switch or on Steam, all that stuff. But the platform itself, it's very limited, but that's part of what makes it tick. Um, it's got, I think it's 128 by 128 resolution screen or something like that. I think it's even slow. It's even lower, like 128 by 64 or something along those lines.
Yeah, I don't know exactly the size of the or the resolution of the screen, but yeah, it's really really tiny.
Yeah, and some developers have actually done some really impressive tricks to like fake 3D on it. Um,
Yeah, I've seen like some 3D. I don't know if it was like a dungeon FPS something. It was just quite impressive, honestly, for something which is the size of a credit card.
Yeah, and it's something that really happens a lot with these sort of limited platforms like Pico 8. You've seen some, well, I've seen some really crazy stuff on that platform despite its very limited hardware. Um, we'll talk about Pico 80 in another episode, maybe, but yeah, that's another platform that has had some really impressive developments by the community who are really, really pushing the hardware. Um, the same goes for the Arduboy. Like, it's even less powerful than a Playdate, and the screen is even smaller, and still people are coming up with some kind of impressive tech demos for it.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of um, demo scenes of like old computers, like people who are making impressive demos or games or stuff like that on old computers, and you've got this kind of the same creativity of people just pushing the boundaries of what you think is possible on the platform, and just really impressive creative and yeah, creative
Yeah.
minds and a lot of skills. It's quite impressive.
Yeah, yeah, actually, yeah, absolutely. So there are other versions of the Arduboy. Like there's the first Arduboy. There's the FX that comes pre-installed with a bunch of the best games made by the community, and there's one called the Tetris Micro Card. It's an
Oh,
officially licensed Tetris product that only plays Tetris. So um, I would call that slightly unfortunate, to be honest. I like devices that can do a lot of things, like even if it's just games, like that it can play a bunch of games. Like just one feels very limiting. Um,
uh,
but
from what I understand, the Arduino FX is just like the base Arduino with um, a
Most
f-
chip.
yeah, a mod chip, a chip on it with a lot of games on it, and I wonder if you can. I've no idea if it's possible. Maybe use this mod chip on the Tetris one. I've no idea if it's possible or not. I would be really curious to see if it is.
Actually, I think you can, but the thing with it is that it has this sort of yeah, the screen is like on a different orientation, so
Oh, okay.
it's vertical instead of horizontal. So that will would kind of make games sort of uncomfortable to play.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah.
yeah, some people are really excited about a device that can just play Tetris and you can pack it on your pocket. But honestly, I find the FX much cooler because of the huge amount of games you have on it. Tetris is a really great game for tiny sessions, but having a device that only plays Tetris, yeah, that doesn't quite cut it for me.
No, and I think I would have preferred to. I mean, this is basically kind of the same console, just in a different orientation, and the screen, like you said, is kind of in a portrait mode. And I would have preferred to simply have this configuration and being able to put all the games on it. So just being limited to Tetris, it's kind of a shame.
Mhm. They also have Pac-Man kind of Arduboy that, well, it's not an Arduboy. It's called Pac-Man Micro Arcade. So that one has a color screen.
Okay.
Yeah, but again, I think it's very underused because you get just one game and that's it. I feel the same way about Nintendo's new Game and Watches. Like they just have three games and that's it. Like I would rather have something on my pocket with much more than that. Um, it's a cute toy at best if it just got one game, but um, it's not really like a fully fledged console. Like not even by 90s standards when you got only one and that's it. Um,
Yeah, and like you said, it's kind of a shame to. I mean, you made a machine, you made a console, and it's quite a. I don't know. I don't really like this idea of you made this console entirety, this new console, this new stuff, and you just limit it to one game or like a few games. It's no, I don't really like it at all.
Yeah, so I think it may have been a smart decision for them to take contracts with Namco and the Tetris company to make devices exclusively for them.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
I'm sure they pay them quite a bit. Um, but for the customers, I think that's a device that isn't really that appealing. Like, unless you are the biggest Pac-Man fan and the biggest Tetris fan, like um, other like if you're not in one of those categories, like those devices are probably not gonna cut it. Like you're gonna have some fun for a while, but it's probably not worth keeping on your pocket for more than a week.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's go back to the Arduboy FX because I think that particular console by Arduboy is brilliant. The fact that it comes right out of the box with 200 games, it kind of reminds me to of Famicom consoles, where you got one cartridge with bootleg versions of a bunch of games. By the way, speaking of bootleg, we are covering the Devolver Bootleg game on this episode, so stay tuned for that. Um, yeah, what I really like that with Arduboy FX, you have a tiny console that already comes packed with games. So if you have one on your pocket and you're gonna be waiting somewhere for someone for a while, or or you are just gonna have tiny breaks in between work sessions or something. I think for that, Arduboy FX is probably a brilliant device, um, because it also has a really decent battery because these games are not very demanding. Um, this tiny battery manages to pull off 8 hours nonetheless.
Oh wow.
So yeah, that's pretty impressive for a device that is basically the size of a credit card.
Yeah,
Um,
that's quite impressive.
Also, the packaging is just gorgeous. Like it seems like they really put a lot of their design passion into creating a cute packaging that you probably want to keep because of how nicely it's put together. Like it's got screenshots of some of the best games. So you got a lot of one-bit art all over the packaging, and it's also set up like kind of letter. So you open it up. A bit like that, and it has a lot of cute messages inside, and it's just brilliant the way it's put together. I would love to unbox it myself, but unfortunately, I have only watched it being unboxed by other people, like Retro Rob, a YouTuber who is dedicated to reviewing these retro sort of niche devices. But yeah, kudos to the Arduboy team for creating such a cute package for it.
Yeah, I mean, packaging. I mean, I would say it's not okay. It's not more important than the product, of course, but
Oh,
it's still quite important to. I mean, it's the first feeling of the product you've got. Before opening, before playing the console, you have to enjoy the box. And yeah, it's quite a nice box, and I would love to. And first, I would love to own an Arduboy FX, but opening it yeah, must be quite satisfying.
yeah, for sure. And also, with Arduboy, you are getting into kind of a development platform with one, not just a gaming console. So it's kind of a dev kit by itself. Um, so yeah, if you get a Switch, you cannot develop game for it. You need another device specifically targeted for that, and it's usually more expensive, and you need to get a license from Nintendo. And with Arduboy, you can just pick it up, connect it to your PC, and develop games for it, or mod games that have already been made, and change some sprites, change some level layouts, and make something really cool out of it. I think that's great, especially for children who are getting into programming. Having like a Game Boy that you can not only play but make games on, I think that's really cool.
Yeah, this is really. I love this kind of things. Like last time you talked about the play date and Bitsy, and um, with the Arduboy also, you've got this feeling where you can make a game, you can learn how to code, how to make stuff, and directly play it on the with like a physical console instead of just on your computer. It's way more satisfying, and especially for, like you say, like kids. There are a lot of there are a few electronics projects or stuff that are made specially for kids, and all this stuff are. I just love them. I don't have kids. I don't. Um, I've never tried this all of these projects, but I just love that they exist and that they let people and children be creative and also learn quite important skills. I mean, the coding is quite cool.
Yeah, for sure. And also, Arduboy also promotes not only open source software, but open source hardware. You can actually make your own Arduboy. Like, it's probably not gonna be easy, but it's doable. Um, well, it's probably easier than building your own Switch or something like that. But
Yeah, of course, yeah.
still, you can build your own Arduboy.
And
They are
I've seen quite a few like mods or um, le- on my screen I'm seeing like a crunk mod, so it's some to add a crunk like on the like on the play date.
yeah, yeah, I've seen that. And there's also Arduboy themselves are selling something called Arduboy Nano, which is the bare PCB on top of which you can build the entire console. You're still gonna need the screen, the buttons, and all that, but the brain of the console is there. Um,
Oh, that's
so
cool. That's cool.
yeah, there's actually only 18 of them in stock right now. So yeah, they have very limited quantities of this thing. So yeah, there's no full Arduboys right now in stock, but there are Arduboy Nanos, which are the PCB on top of which you can build your own Arduboy. Yeah, they have just 18 of them right now.
Yeah, it's really a limited production for something I've seen. I mean, I've seen the people talking about this console quite a lot a few years ago, and it's impressive that the team is so small and the production is so small.
Yeah. It we really like talking about these sorts of hardware projects on one bit gizmos. Right now, Arduboy and Playdate, and on the next episode, let me just tease it. We'll be talking about Frankie by SQFMI. You can already Google it and search about it, what it's all about. It's very similar to Arduboy, but um, it's much more modular by design. Um,
Okay.
but that's all I'm gonna say for now. But yeah, it's another topic I'm really, really excited to talk about. Um, we're probably gonna invite the one of the creators behind it, so that's gonna be really cool. I
Oh, that's
wish
quite
we could,
exciting.
yeah, I wish we could do that for Arduboy, but like I said, it's really hard to get in contact with them or get a product. It's very, very tricky. So yeah, trust us, we've tried, but it's kind of hard. Um, but yeah, we'll also probably record our unboxing of the Arduboy and our first impressions once we got it in our hands. But for now, we can just talk about what we've seen, what we think of all we've seen about it, the games, the project itself. Well, we've done all of that in this episode, I think. Any last thoughts on the Arduboy project?
Um, Not necessary. I just love the fact that this exists and that a lot of, I mean, not a lot, that a few different new hardware or console projects exist. Like you talk about this one, you talk about the Playdate, and I'm just super happy that this smaller, more indie console exists. This is quite exciting.
Yeah, and it's also really good that there are these very open platforms where you are not limited by what the company behind it wants you to do with it. Like in the case of um, the Game and Watch by Nintendo, I've heard it's really tricky to hack it. So like with Arduboy, like it's designed for it, and I find that really cool with hardware. Um, I like that openness, that transparency, um, and yeah, I hope more companies like were like that. The big ones like Nintendo and Sega are really guilty of um, limiting their consoles or like their mini consoles to just do this couple of things, and that's all you can ever do with it. And I think that's an unfortunate design reality, and uh, we should strive for more open hardware and software, so our devices have more usefulness. They have a life where they can do much more than just this one thing the company designed it for. And yeah, I really support this kind of hardware, and I hope we get more things like that and less things like the Sega Game Gear, the Micro, I think it's called, or the Game and Watch Anniversary editions, which are yeah, very limited. I really think we should be the other way around. We should empower creativity with our products, instead of trying to limit them as much as possible, so we can just make 100 different versions of them and sell all of them to an addicted collector. Um, I think that's not a healthy way to design things. So yeah, I'm all for open projects, and I've been going on and on and on. But I just wanted to leave it with that sort of analysis on the situation of hardware and where I think it would be healthier for the world to push it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. I've let you talk and talk because just yeah, I agree. This is um, we should of course go to more openness in terms of both in terms of software and hardware.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of openness, we have a very open project, well, by 100 rabbits for our 1-bit tools section. Shall we move on to that?
Yeah,
Okay, but before that, our 1-minute review on Devolver Bootleg. Devolver Bootleg is what a dubious 101 Famicom cartridge would have looked like if Devolver was as big as Nintendo a couple of decades ago. It's somehow both a self-deprecating parody and a celebration of some of Devolver's greatest hits in the form of a remake compilation. Why is this related to 1-bit, you may ask? Well, Doinksoft from Gato Roboto is involved, the little kitten even has its own minigame, and there's a remake of Downwell. Yes, a remake of a game that was already 1-bit. If you think about it, Gato Robato's 8-bit bootleg could be considered a graphical upgrade. Now, in terms of content, it won't take you more than an afternoon to see most of it, but that doesn't detract from the charm of this whole package. Just for full transparency, Devolver provided a digital copy for this 1-minute review. Now, back to 1-bit tools. So for 1-bit tools today, we are gonna cover the UXN project by 100 Rabbits, who I'm also trying to get in contact with. Fortunately, I have managed to get messages back, but we just haven't cleared up deadline to meet each other and really talk in depth about the project. But UXN is basically a development platform designed for artists, coders, and for really all sorts of computing projects that require minimal hardware. And um, the thing about UXN is you can run it pretty much everywhere. Like it runs on anything from Raspberry Pi Pico to a Game Boy Advance, a Nintendo DS. It's kind of crazy, really.
I mean, they are. If you know more about 100 Rabbits, they are quite impressive. I, I'm really constantly impressed by their projects. They are really cool people. Um, I don't know if you know if you know more about them.
Oh yeah, I have. Ever since I met them, I've dug through their wikis and I've just browsed their pages, surfed all around them. So yeah, I do know quite a bit about them. They have an itch.io page where you can download most of their projects, and they also have an official page, which I'll link in the description, where you can read more about their story and all that. But I would rather cover that with a member of 100 Rabbits
Yeah,
themselves later.
absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So right now, we'll focus on UXN and Noodle. So Noodle is a tool they designed for 1-bit drawing and animation, and it's absolutely fantastic because you can do it from with a DS, for example, and it reminds me a lot of um, Flipnote or PictoChat.
Yeah.
So it's really simplistic, but you can do a lot with it if you are passionate about 1-bit art. So there's a lot of really cool drawings made with the tool already. And here's one thing about things designed by 100 Rabbits. They are extremely minimalist, and that's and I think their designs are really elegant, like their user interfaces, and they are so well optimized for devices with low memory, and they do just what, like they can do exactly what you want very efficiently. Like there's also tools for sound design and for writing, and yeah, the UXM project in general is something I'm really excited about. So yeah, Noodle in particular, uh, I think I've said it already, but yeah, it's their 1-bit painting tool. um, it's
I mean,
super awesome, and I've seen some really awesome designs made with it already. I'm fascinated by it.
like you said, on most of the tools and projects, you really feel this idea of, fuck it, I'm going to make my own tools, and it's going to make exactly what I need it for. And yeah, it's super minimalist, super elegant, and you feel both they are both coders and artists at the same time, and you can feel it in their tools. And most of the tools I've used from them are just quite enjoyable to use, just because there is you cannot really get lost into them. It's clear. There is not tons of options. It's just there, and it does what you want it to do. Just quite impressive. And yeah, I haven't used it yet. I haven't used Noodle yet, but I really want to try it on a DS. That must be that must be quite cool.
Yeah, and also speaking of open source tools, I didn't make the logo for the podcast on Noodle. I actually used Libre Sprite, which is like a sprite, but it's based on the last open source version of it, and it's been and it has some improvements over that version to make it more like the newest one. But yeah, it's like a little behind, but it's quite usable if you are doing basic pixel art. But maybe in the future I'll try Noodle, just because of how straightforward it is. I think it's something I would really enjoy using, and um, well, I don't know. Yeah, I think I talked about this on my previous episode, but my 3DS is hacked as hell. So I have all sorts of emulators, all sorts of programs that no one's supposed to be using there, but I still am. Um, it's my primary platform to play Quake on.
Oh
So
wow. Okay.
yeah. So when I'm on the go sometimes and I'm bored, I just pop out my 3DS and get playing some Quake, slashing some horrors. And yeah, I really like the homebrew community for it. So I haven't yet managed to install UXN or any of its ROMs on my 3DS, but it's definitely something I have planned. Like, I have everything from text editors, like old computer emulators, and all sorts of stuff packed up on my 3DS. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to doing things with UXN on that platform, because having two screens, it's actually something that is just very recently coming back with platforms like the Surface Duo or the how was it called, the Samsung Fold and Flip. But yeah, clamshell designs, I like them a lot, and I think they are quite
Yes. Yeah.
underrated. So because you get a lot of protection from the clamshell, and also a lot of pocketability, so you don't have to worry about getting it inside of a case, because it is the case itself. And I think that's something that I really appreciate on gaming platforms and pocket computers. Um, so yeah, I'd rather have that than have exposed joysticks like on the Nintendo Switch. Like the Switch, it's a great console, but it's a nightmare to pocket, um, because of how large the no like how much the sticks will stick out. um Sometimes I'm afraid like I might drift them when they are on my pocket or something. I don't get that fear from clamshell designs, so I think they are excellent pocket computers for yeah, for that reason.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never really thought about it, but yeah, the DS is probably one of the best. I mean, the DS and the other, like the 3DS and all of the other. The, this is
Console.
probably, yeah, probably one of the best console possible in terms of pocketability. Um, because yeah, it's protected, it's fun to use. It just, yeah, it's just a really good console, and this tool in particular on it, and I mean the other tool made for the DS through the homebrew community. It just, yeah, I've never really been into that crowd or that. Yeah, I've never really tried it all that much, but now I think I want to. I really want to.
You know what's funny? You can also use a Game Boy Micro as your computer with UXN.
Oh, that's so cool. That's
Yeah.
just so cool. The micro is so tiny, and it's just just the idea of it. I love it. I love it. It's absurd, but I love it.
Yeah, the fact that you can use like such unorthodox platforms as semi-professional computing devices with lightweight systems like UXN is kind of fascinating to me.
Yeah, it is. It is. Um,
It also ties a lot with the idea of perma-computing. In case you haven't heard about it, it's the concept that almost any machine can be used to some extent. And I've seen, for example, doctors with Windows 96, Windows 9, no, 96, 98 machines. Who just use it for word processing, and you know what, it can do that just fine.
yeah,
Like, they already have a phone on their pocket, but it's not the best machine to type on, so they just go to their Windows 98 computer, and they do some documents on it, and maybe later, like, for all the networking stuff, like sending the documents themselves through email and that. Yeah, maybe for that you're gonna need another computer because the web nowadays is kind of heavy. But for basic like document editing and even some other tasks, like, well, spreadsheets, um, you can basically use almost any device made in the last, what, 30 years, and or even 40.
yeah. Even 40. Yeah,
Yeah, it's I think we should really push that perma computing philosophy more, because especially in an age where companies want you to ditch your phone every year, like, it's insane.
and that's why I love the idea of having emulated consoles or things like yeah, the UXN or the virtual console. That's what I was trying to find. Or the virtual console. I just love the idea because you can play a game on different computers that have a different system on it, and I want to see it more and more because yeah, it's just quite satisfying to be able to use the same software everywhere without needing a lot of resources because all of this is quite lightweight.
Yeah, and the same goes for Game Boy games, which have now become really easy to make with
Yeah.
tools like GB Studio. So you can basically play them anywhere. Like, you can play them on the original Game Boy. You can play them maybe on an older flip phone if you really want to. You can play them on a DS. And a lot of these, well, it's cool to have these sort of almost universal platforms, so that yeah, games designed for them can run basically anywhere. Like, if you have a Switch game, well, too bad, you either need a Switch or a really really beefy phone or a computer. Like, even if the game doesn't have high requirements, to do the emulation you need a lot of power. So, like, when games are developed for older consoles that can basically be emulated anywhere, you get a lot of accessibility with that particular game. For example, there's this game coming out called Good Boy Galaxy, which will be released for Nintendo Switch, for PC, but it will also have a GBA ROM.
Oh
So,
wow.
like, any device from the last 15 years can play Good Boy Galaxy.
Yeah,
And
I
I
can
think,
play it on a GBA. I can play it on my phone. I can play it on a DS. I can play it on probably most computer I've got around here. Uh, That's I love it.
Yeah, and that's also something I really like about the homebrew community, especially when they design for very old hardware. Um, what they are doing is making games or software that has a very sort of universal compatibility to it. And the same idea is behind the UXN project. It's designed to run again on basically every IoT device or any old console or whatever. It's designed to do almost any basic computing task you want. Like you're not gonna be web browsing or not gonna do some heavy image editing. But if what you want is to write or play something like an interactive fiction novel or I don't know, something that is basic in terms of computing, but that can really, really be fulfilling for someone to do. Um, yeah, then that platform UXN is for you, and I think that's excellent that we have that in times like this when hardware requirements get unnecessarily higher and higher for everything.
Yeah, and what I love is that they ported a lot of their tools to this UXN virtual machine. They ported a lot of their tools, so you can write, you can create music, you can create sprites. Yeah, it's impressive, and I would love it to have a lot of people developing stuff for it, because this is an impressive project.
Yeah, you basically have a fully featured low res or low-fi design tool for any computing device you have around, like whether it's on your pocket or it's a huge machine in your basement, like I don't know, a very old Macintosh or something like that. It's really cool that you can actually do art on it and you can code on it. And um, yeah, I think that really broadens computation to a lot of people, and I think we should really push for accessibility like that in computing instead of going for arbitrary requirements like Microsoft's TPM module requirements recently and all sorts of stuff like that. I think we should go against it and push uh, for platforms to be useful for as long as they can.
Yeah, this is kind of a minimalistic approach, also, and yeah, I just love the philosophy of this group of people and other people around them, that do these kind of things and also use old software. And this one, you can use it on all the computers, all the stuff. This is kind of an interesting way um, to see software in general, to approach it. It's kind of more limited in a way also, but it brings a lot of creativity, like always, with limitations. And just love it. Just love the idea around it, the whole philosophy around it, and yeah, quite exciting to see this project.
Yeah, I'm also quite excited as well. And any last thoughts on it, or something you want to leave the audience with?
Not really. I mean, I just yeah,
Yeah, you just did. You just said like a lot of things.
yeah,
So, as for me, Yeah, again, we're not saying like new technology is bad or that ray tracing is evil or anything along those lines, or that cloud computing or demanding programs are necessarily bad. Like, these are also really useful tools, and of course, we are not expecting them to be available on hardware that just cannot run it. Like, sometimes tech is like that. Like, you cannot do. There are just some tasks that are pushing a device too far. Um, so I think we should embrace both the cutting edge and the old technology. So we have like a lot of usability still on the devices we have already made, but we can also look towards a future when our devices can do so much more, like maybe, yeah, like all those cutting edge features like ray tracing or deep faking that you are in no way, shape, or form gonna do on a Game Boy. um,
Absolutely not. Yeah.
yeah, so I think we should look both ways. Like, we should look towards the future, but we also shouldn't be like abandoning or discarding old hardware because of it. We should also try to salvage it, and then that's where the concept of salvage computing comes up. And that's something you can Google, or we may talk about it on future episodes more in depth. But yeah, I just want to leave the our audiences with that. Like, just because a device is old doesn't mean it's useless. Like, sure, it's not as useful as a much more powerful, capable device may be, but it may still have some juice left in it. And I think that's something valuable that we should appreciate, and we shouldn't just trash those devices when they still have a lot to offer.
Yeah, absolutely.
So anyway, where can we find you, Nico?
Mostly on Twitter. I'm just going to quickly find
Um,
the
it's
handle.
not necessary. We're probably we can leave that in the description.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
perfect.
Yeah,
Uh,
I'll leave links for Nico and me. I'm also on Twitter. You can reach me there if you have questions or you have suggestions, or you wanna be a co-host or a guest on any episode. So yeah, it's been really nice to have you here, Nico. We'll also, of course, be linking Arduboy and the UXM project 100 Rabbits, all of that in the description. Um, it's been a really nice episode to record together.
yeah,
Thanks a lot, everyone, for tuning in. We really appreciate your support. We are about to reach 400 listeners, which is really exciting for such a tiny project. And yeah, it's been really nice to have you listening with us, and maybe even communicating through our social media channels. So yeah, see you next time.
see you.
To finish off, another song by Lucas Dicus, aka The Bass is Loaded. This is Space Town.